Hi there. There's a game going around on YouTube. Well, I don't know if it's a game, but it's a thing going around on YouTube that everybody seems to be taking part in, whether or not they're tagged or not. It's one of these things where you give some information about yourself and then you tag some people and have them do their thing. I'm not going to tag anybody because I usually don't do that, but this sounded like a fun one. But basically, I tell 4 facts about me that are true and 1 fact that is a lie. So I'm going to tell you 5 things about me. 4 are true, 1's a lie, and it's your job to tell me which one you think is the lie. And if there's anybody out there watching that actually knows me, you might be able to get these. But I'm going to make this one kind of a theme here. Instead of like conveying personal, intimate information about myself, I'm just going to make this about some things that have happened to me in my life. Terrible things. But so I'm going to start with one that happened when I was in high school. Now, I used to take an electronics class. I think it was either my junior or senior year. But one day the instructor left the room. He had to go do something, so he left us in charge to take care of ourselves. You know, a group of high school kids with electronic components and gadgets and stuff all left to ourselves to be responsible. Sure. So as soon as the instructor left, we all started horsing around, messing around with stuff, and we had these brand new power supplies. And I had this one cranked up to 300 volts. It went all the way up to 300 volts DC. And for some reason, I was sitting there holding on to one lead with my right hand, and my friend that was sitting next to me at the workstation had the other lead, and he was like swinging it around, you know, just like, and it just hit my arm for a moment. And for that moment, I had 300 volts DC, boom, through my body. All I can remember is this white flash. And then I was kind of out of it for a minute. They were trying to say, hey, you all right? You all right? And I just wasn't responding. But I got over it. So that's number 1. Number 2 happened to me also when I was in high school. I was actually at home. It was nighttime, and I was home alone, and my parents were out having dinner somewhere, and I was watching TV, and suddenly there's a knock on the back door, and I'm thinking, well, that's weird, because the only person that's ever come to the back door, which is in our carport, is the neighbor across the street. I haven't seen him in a couple of years. But I go to the door fully expecting to see his face there, right? But what I find are 3 young Hispanic males, younger than me. I'm like 15, and I'm like caught off guard. And they say, can we come in and use your bathroom? We need to use the bathroom. It's like, you know, I'm young and stupid. Sure, come on in. Yeah, you can use the bathroom. That's fine. That's a good idea, right? So I let these kids in, and 2 of them go into the bathroom at the same time, which seemed kind of weird to me. And they were in there for a long time, while the other one kept me company. I guess they wanted to make sure that I was occupied, so I didn't find out what they were doing in there. Well, they were like, I found out later, they were going through all the drawers looking for valuables, like. Who keeps their valuables in the bathroom? Anyway, they finally come out to the kitchen, and I'm fully expecting to escort them out the door because they're done with their business, right? Well, all of a sudden, they pull knives on me. One of them's got this big old hunting knife, and they corner me in the kitchen, and they go, where do you keep the money? And I'm like, a 15-year-old kid, what kind of money do you think I have? Do you think I'm a bank? So I'm like, all right, I'm reaching in my pocket like I'm going to give him my lunch money, right? So he thinks I'm going for a weapon, and he stabs me with a knife, just sticks me in the leg. It wasn't like, yeah, it was more of a tick. And I don't think he meant to do that because my leg just started bleeding profusely, and they saw this, and their faces just went blank, and they were like, they freaked out. They were like, oh my God, you're not going to call the police, are you? Don't call the cops. And I just wanted to get rid of them, so I told them, yeah, I'll just make up a story, get out. Of course, I was fully intending to call the cops, and as soon as they walked out the door, I called the cops, and they came and they caught him. Got a couple of days off of school, so there was some good in that. But anyway, number 3, is happened outside of high school. It was after my senior year. It was October of 1980, and a friend and I decided to make a film of a model airplane crashing and exploding. So we took a CO2 cartridge, packed it with red dot shotgun powder, stuck a rocket igniter in there, and epoxied it shut. So we put that in a plane, and we put a little switch on the plane with a lead weight on it, so that when the plane would crash, that lead weight would snap forward, make the connection to the battery, and the bomb would go off. So we'd see the plane crash and blow up. And it was a line control plane. It wasn't radio controlled like I fly today. So we got out there, and we had nothing but problems with batteries. There was this guy there we always called Jinx, because every time he was around, things would go wrong. So we never got the engine started, and we were losing light. So we figured, well, let's just film it on the ground. So we tied a cable to the switch. And my friend went to wire up the battery to his car with an extension cord, while I got under there and hooked up the battery to the bomb. Wrong order. Well, I wanted to get out of there, because instead of saying, hey, let me do this first, I figured I'd do this quickly and get out of there. Well, I stood up and I tripped over the wire that was on the switch. And long story short, the plane blew up in my face. I had a piece of metal stuck in my face right here, and my arm was cut wide open, and I was bleeding profusely, and I went to the hospital, spent 3 days in the hospital, and it was no fun. There's a little bug in here, really. Anyway, that's number 4. Or is it? No, that's number 3. What was that? That was number 3. So number 4 happened a few years ago. My wife and I took a trip to Hawaii. And I wanted to take a helicopter ride around the island. She didn't want to. So I went. She encouraged me to go because she knows I love to fly. So I got in this helicopter ride. And I happened to get lucky. There was another group there. They'd take 4 people on the helicopter. There was a group of 3 people and then me. So they were okay with me getting on. And I got to sit in the front seat. So I have no air sickness or anything like that. So we're flying around. And several minutes into the flight, all of a sudden I hear this kind of noise behind me. It was, considering all the noise from the helicopter, for me to hear that was surprising. But the next thing I knew, there was a splash of liquid hitting my head from behind, and there was all this splatter coming over. And it got on me, and I'm like, ew. And it was like, there was like little bits and pieces, and it was brown and green. And I turned around, and it turned out there was a girl sitting behind me that just projectile vomited on the back of my head. And I was like, oh, I can handle flying, but not this vomit all over me. And it was like, oh, God. And all I could do was just sit there for the ride because I couldn't get out. But, oh, man, I must have spent 20 minutes in the shower when I got back to the hotel after that. Oh, it was so disgusting. Anyway, so that's number 4. Number 5, I like to fly model airplanes at night. That's a fact. That's an indisputable fact. I fly model airplanes at night. I was working on a laser pointer thing for marking the runway at night so I could see where to land. Well, I had a laser pointer and I wanted to know how far I could see it. But late one night, there was a police helicopter flying over the house across the street from me. And it was right out in front of my house, so I decided to see if I could see the laser light bounce off the side of the helicopter. Big mistake. Apparently, I couldn't see it, but they saw it. Next thing I knew, the cops were pounding on my door, and they hit me with 2 counts of felony endangerment. Felony endangerment. Luckily, my lawyer got it knocked down to 1 count of disorderly conduct, which is a conviction on my record, and that was just a totally stupid thing. They should have just slapped me on my wrist and explained the situation and let me be on my way. But no, they were trying to make an example of me. So I have a conviction of disorderly conduct on my record. So that's number 5. So vote now. 1, was it 300-volt DC shock? That's not true. Was I not stabbed? Number 2, was I not blown up? Number 3, was I not vomited on? Number 4, or was I not convicted of disorderly conduct? Number 5. You decide. Good luck. I'll let you know what the answers are in a future video in the next few days. Good luck.